Hello, welcome to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable. We discuss the future of this region blessed with hydrocarbon resources every single week. We give some time and we reflect on topics that are relevant to the development of the Niger-Delta and her people. This episode, we are continuing along those lines as I'm here and we're focusing once again on how to take this region to a more promising future. And the podcast is sponsored by the operator of the NNPC, Renaissance Total Energies AENR joint venture, Renaissance Africa Energy Company Limited, headquartered in Port Harcourt. Thanks for joining. I'm Adidayo Ilushakin. Our topic this week, ziplining when minutes matter. Imagine the hospital facing an emergency. A patient urgently needs blood. Life saving medicine is running low, and time is critical. In many parts of Africa, the challenge isn't whether the medicine exists, it's whether it can get to the people who need it quickly enough. For decades, geography, poor infrastructure, distance, and logistics have stood between communities and essential services. But what if technology could remove those barriers? Today, we're exploring one of Africa's most fascinating innovation stories, Zipline, a company using autonomous drones to deliver medical supplies and other essential products to hard to reach communities, transforming how logistics works and how lives are saved. Now, since launching operations in Rwanda in 2016, Zipline has grown into one of the world's largest autonomous delivery networks, supporting thousands of health facilities across Africa and beyond. Now, this is a conversation about technology, access, innovation, and what happens when the challenge isn't creating solutions, but delivering them. Again, topic for this episode of Canvas is ziplining when minutes matter. And my guest is Chinedu Ama. Chinedu Ama is Regional Director, Zipline Nigeria. Chinedu, hi, welcome to Canvas
Thank you.
once again.
Thank you, Dio. Thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe I've evolved. But good to be back. Thank you.
just before the camera started rolling, we're having some conversation, and Donald was talking about how you, thankfully, graciously, were the first guest for this year on the podcast, and
Yeah.
it was something about manning up.
Yeah.
So when you said evolving, I
Yes.
it just took me back to that because
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to man up for the year, or if you were planning to man up for the year,
Mm-hmm.
you had to evolve as well to
Yes, you
fit
must.
into what's happening globally, what's happening nationally,
Yes.
and what's happening even regionally as well.
Yes, that's true. I think evolution is a consistent process. Whether it's social, whether it's structural evolution, it's consistent. And for you to maintain relevance in whatever you do, that's something that you must continue to do, evolve, adapt, pivot, grow.
And once again, still on the concept of evolution, before the camera started rolling,
Yeah.
Donald whipped up some gizmo
Yeah.
that looked like it came from a museum. The Sony Cyber Shot digital camera.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating stuff, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it brought back memories.
Yeah.
He didn't understand why I was all over it. In fact, he had to keep it some distance away, away, from, away from me.
Yeah.
And you look at cameras these days and what it's evolved into. And by the way, I saw the Kodak cameras back. My dad had one.
We all
The
saw
one,
them.
yeah, that the one that had the films, and then the Cybershot and Co came, and they
Mm-hmm.
was like and now the Cybershot looks like it belongs in a museum somewhere.
Doesn't it?
Evolution, well, it does, yeah.
Doesn't it?
Well, it's incredible, really, what's happened the last decade or more in terms of evolution in just about every sphere of humanity.
Yeah. But I mean, look at it this way, right? Excuse me. If you don't evolve, then you're done.
Isn't that scary though?
No, but
Sometimes.
it's reality. How they say that thing? I remember back in university. I think I used to live. I went to Niger-Delta University, Oka. I used to live across from the place we call Onitsha Park. So you wake up in the morning. There's this loud, those Ahoja speakers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they used to play
Very,
this.
very big, monstrous.
They used to play these songs from like 5 a.m. and you then hear a voice that goes, When you wake up for morning, if you be antelope, they run. Because if you not run, lion go catch you. If you be lion, they run. Because if you not run, you not go see food chop. And then the song starts. I don't even want to go into the song. Right?
Go into the song.
Oh yeah, make me go, oh yeah. Oh yeah, they don't break you. And then you hear that guy announce that thing.
Mm,
Right. But the thing is, consistently you must move. Right. There are times where, I mean, look at EVs, for example.
mm.
Um, I admire Elon. I mean, my guy, any day. But the last 3 to 5 years, those Chinese guys are taking him to the cleaners.
There was a video, very old, pretty old video,
Yeah,
where he was dissing BYD.
exactly. So today you hear people talk of PHEV, EREV, where these guys are they've literally put generators into the vehicle in case you don't have charging infrastructure. So they've thought about other markets that may not have reliable electricity supply. Remember when we started talking about electric vehicles, we're like, okay, they are great for the environment, but when Nigeria, how you want to charge them?
Mm. I like how you switched from English to Pidgin there,
Eh,
because that was how the question was
yes,
asked.
now how you want to charge them?
Nobody asked how are we gonna charge it.
No, how you want to charge them?
Yeah.
And suddenly today, these guys are sending in cars that you can literally still just buy the fuel, and as you go, it gives you extended range.
Mm.
So years ago, I would not have accepted the position that electric vehicles were, oh, they are good for the environment, we need to move. No, but the reality is every solution must be local everywhere. That's also something I've learned. So as much as I want to get an electric vehicle, I also will consider the fact that I have to be on the move consistently. So, do I have charging infrastructure everywhere I go to across this region? No, I don't. The last time I was in Lagos, I was at what's it called, Sheraton, for a meeting. And I was impressed. Oh, charging stations, places you go, public places, you see charging stations. But do we have that sort of infrastructure here in this region? No, we don't.
We have charging stations of the Renaissance
I
IS.
know, but that is
Just thought to
you.
mention that.
I know, I've seen it.
Okay.
But that is you. How many charging stations are in Port Harcourt? Exactly. BYD Nigeria sells you the vehicle with the option of your charging point. You can buy your charger. So you must evolve consistently.
As we move into the crux of a conversation for this episode, what then happens to individuals, societies,
Yeah.
but more so individuals who do not evolve? What's their fate?
I may not get the timelines correctly, but I think the earliest trains were built in Africa in the 60s or 70s, right? I mean, if you're listening, if you're anybody can confirm what decade they were built. And over the last 5, 6, 7 decades, we see the ones passing here,
Mm,
Port Harcourt, Aba, and nothing changed.
mm.
Um, we see the maglev trains in Asia. We see the high-speed trains in Europe, right? We remained stagnant as our society. I mean, it's so bad that we don't even realize that there's literally only one city in Nigeria today that can enter a conversation around public transportation, and that's Lagos. Because they have the BRTs, they have the red line, they have the blue line. So when at the point of colonialism and into the early parts of Nigeria being independent, and we established our Port Harcourt Maiduguri line, Lagos Kano line, for example. Those lines were built, if the Eastern Rail Corridor, for example, was built to move granite coal to the border, which is why you have Abonima Wharf and the rail line ends there, right? Did we do anything else afterwards?
Mm.
No. So, aside the need to continue to drive commercial growth and industrialization across the corridor and move those products along that corridor, and also complement it with human travel, we never did. So the rail lines died. So imagine if we had also thought through it that Aba was going to industrialize at a certain pace at some point, and you needed to build a second line that tees off. Maybe as you get in from Imo River, you turn left to on airport. That's evolution. That's thinking. That's design. But guess what? We never teed off. We never built it. The road infrastructure died. The energy infrastructure died. So Aba as a manufacturing hub stagnated for decades. Look at what has happened in Aba over the last 3 years. Property value has increased because people started to fix electricity. Suddenly, the governor who's in office is discussing how to build a rail line to connect to Port Harcourt. Not just improve what exists, but build a fresh one that improves time of travel for goods, products to the wharf in Port Harcourt. So when you hear us say, no, that wharf in Lagos, there's this, I look at our people and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you sound dense. Wharfs don't exist because they want to beautify a city. If you remember secondary school, was it geography or economics? They taught us that wharfs exist because they drive a hinterland. The hinterland is what drives the wharf to thrive. I grew up in Warri, for example. I saw Shell. Shell, Total, and Co. made the wharf in Warri thrive. The moment they left, the wharf died. So we must evolve or continue to evolve socially, mentally, structurally.
Let's evolve into the crux of our conversation for this episode. So, if I'm hearing Zipline for the first time,
Yeah.
see, I'd never heard about it ever in my life, and I hear Zipline, and maybe I think, I mean, there's something, whether it's a sport or some means of transportation for very
Yeah,
short
yeah.
distances,
Yeah.
at resorts or fancy places or stuff like that. Zipline, and I'm hearing Zipline,
Yes.
and I hear Zipline or I hear Zipline Nigeria. See, I had no idea. I was thinking of that other thing.
Mm.
What is Zipline?
Zipline depends on what interests you. There's two things to us: our impact on our technology. Zipline is the world's biggest deployment of AI. We've done over 2 million deliveries across the world today. Our drones are autonomous, which is why we say it's deployment of AI, because every location that we supply is geotagged, and we simply have a system of QR codes that scans and imprints and embeds information to our zips. That's what we call them internally. This is where you're going to. You're going to Agoro Primary Healthcare Center to deliver this commodity. Now, the pathway that it uses is mapped, is pre-mapped. Um, the drones are designed to detect and avoid. So if there's an aircraft within the vicinity, it makes a detour, returns, right? There's three options, three attempts, after which it returns to base. And in terms of impact, I talked about over 2 million deliveries worldwide. In Nigeria, we've done well over 350,000 deliveries over the last 3-4 years. We operate arguably the biggest or the busiest airport in the Niger-Delta region. We've picked deliveries from our operational base in Bielsa. There was a day we did 253 flights. From Bielsa, we've done over 70,000 doses of vaccines to over 250 health facilities in the state. We do essential commodities like your regular meds, infusions. We take HIV commodities, HIV meds, ARVs into communities. So people who live with HIV in rural communities, as far as Brass, that takes hours to come to town by boat, do not need to come to town so they can get their HIV commodities in the community. In February this year, we launched the distribution of blood to community health facilities, the pilot. currently supporting about 13 health facilities in partnership with National Blood Service Agency. We want to expand that over the next couple of weeks. So that's also in numbers, simple terms. In Nigeria, we operate in Bayelsa, Cross River, Kaduna states. We're also in Kenya, in Ghana, in Cote d'Ivoire. Rwanda is our biggest operational base in the world. In Rwanda, there are days we do up to 650, 700 flights a day as Zipline. Then, of course, we operate in America, which is our HQ. But not, it's the new tech that's launching there. It's called P2. But what we have here is P1.
We might get to P2 in the course of this conversation and what P1 is as well. However, every solution is an answer to a problem.
Yes.
What was the problem, or what is the problem?
Yeah.
Given that problem is still existence, at least some climes,
Mhm.
the Zipline was created to solve.
Zipline launched in Rwanda, um, to deliver blood to health facilities, emergency response. And over time, other commodities were added to the portfolio. We launched in Bayelsa about 4 years ago to deliver vaccines. Bayelsa has 8 LGAs. Until recently, only 5 of them, of 3.5 to 4, had proper road access.
Let me rephrase the question.
Yes.
So, some person is delivering mail. You have a UPS. I'm just using random names now.
Yeah.
And then a DHL comes on board
Yes.
to deliver mail as well.
Yes.
So they're both basically solving the same problem,
Yes.
more or less. What I'm asking is this: what is the fundamental? So Zipline is delivering vaccines. You said
Yes.
before Zipline came on board, some person was delivering vaccines already.
Yes.
And even after Zipline, some person will still deliver vaccines.
Yes.
What I'm asking is this: what problems did Zipline, or what challenges or gaps was Zipline created to fill?
Okay, everything from cold chain availability, which is not readily available in a lot of the markets where we operate, to stockouts, right? Stockouts could lead to lack of trust in the health system. Um, Data integrity, because data feeds the procurement value chain for commodities, especially those which we don't produce in Nigeria. If there is no data or traceability of commodities within the system, so we have that level of support for the health system in Nigeria. And of course, technology. You'd ask me now, wasn't the technology existed? A lot of places, there are hard to reach places in the Niger-Delta region, for example, where if you had to travel in case of an emergency, for example, one of the most popular ones, snake bite, right? If you had to get an anti-snake venom from here to Brass, it's hours of boat ride. Victim will probably be gone by then. And we're able to package that anti-snake venom, get it in the air and get it to the health facility in 30 minutes, depending on the distance.
A lot of what you described right now sounds extremely technical.
Yeah.
And I get, because I literally asked for it. So, can you describe your processes as to how you provide solutions to those problems you just identified?
Yeah, so cold chain, we maintain cold chain across our facilities. Cold chain is heavy duty storage, cold storage, things like vaccines, anti-snake venom sits somewhere between -4 degrees. You must maintain that consistently. Even at the point where you're fulfilling that delivery, you must maintain that cold chain. Blood requires cold chain as well. We maintain that cold chain from storage to delivery. Stockout is a complicated conversation, right? Historically, by policy, we're supposed to have what we call drug management agencies from state to state across Nigeria. Drug management agencies are supposed to manage what we call a drug revolving fund. So there's a consistent amount of money which you put into the system that enables DMAs, the drug management agency, to be able to consistently supply those medications to health facilities. Whether push, push is okay, I want 10 rows of paracetamol. then you send them 10 or on demand. However, unfortunately, over the last couple of years, or let me say since 1999, only about 22 states have established their DMAs. Now, there's a difference between even establishing and funding, right? So, what that means is that public health facilities may not have enough commodities when they need it. When they need it is when you and I step into the health facility. So, in a space that Zipline plays in, we're able to consistently meet supply on demand depending on the distance of the facility. That will define how much time it takes us to get there. But you have a patient who's in the hospital, emergency or regular treatment, and there's a requirement for a commodity, we can fulfill that commodity real quick.
Ever so often, when especially matters of healthcare are discussed
Yes.
in the Niger Delta or even the broader Nigerian space, uh, a word is very often used in
Mm.
describing challenges, and that's access. Sometimes it's not even availability,
Yes.
but access.
Yes.
What does that connote in the health space, and why is this such a big evolving challenge? Yeah.
So I like what you said, access, not necessarily availability.
Uh,
So access, can you afford it? That's access. It may be there. Can you afford it? So again, there's policies in Nigeria where you have there's something called BHCPF, Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, which enables the most indigent Nigerians get access to free care. So I don't have a job, I'm living below minimum wage, I'm a farmer, or I'm a hunter in my community. All I require is to actually get registered with NIMSI. I get an NIN and I am assigned to a health facility by what we call the state level health insurance. I don't know what it's called in Rivers, maybe Rivers State Health Insurance Agency, but that's the agency that should enroll me and assign me to a health facility.
yeah, we have one in Doctor. What's her name now? She's in. Anyway, go ahead. I'll
Yeah,
remember later. Yeah.
so that is access because I may not be able to afford the care I need, but we have a policy in Nigeria that should grant me access to that care. That's one. Number two, I may even be able to get into the health facility and then they don't have the drugs I need.
Mm.
Number three, the nearest health facility to me may be 3 hours boat ride away. So that's different levels of access, right? Um, but the first two, for example, we are able to support with. We can engage with the state level health insurance, or we have something like that ongoing today in Bielsa, and NIMSI, and step into a community and get people enrolled for BHCPF so that they can have access to care. Because at that point, they are not even paying out of pocket for the drugs that they need. For the last 2 years, we've had a program called Zero Dose, where we've actually set up 123 community drop sites. So these are not health facilities. Excuse me. These are drop sites within communities where community health workers can step into, they order vaccines, and we send the vaccines into the community. These are communities that do not have health facilities. So children who have not received their required vaccines are able to get those vaccines before they get into a risk situation. So that's access.
Delivery, logistics,
Yes.
it plays a key role as well. I mean,
Yes.
it's not unusual that if a person, for example, wants to fix their car somewhere in a place that's not a metropolis or
Yeah.
city, they know that there are certain parts they can't get here, so you have to get someone who is in Lagos and then get it down and all of that. The same can be said for even the healthcare industry as well. There are certain things that are required, may not be, as you said, readily available.
Yeah.
When you're describing access a while ago, so you have to get it from someplace else. And then there's some, prevailing understanding that if you want this thing, it will take us XY number of days. Are you saying that Zipline is changing that, our understanding
Yeah.
of delivery, which is brought on by the logistics of it as well? Can you describe that in some more detail? How has the logistics that Zipline brought in changed the perception of what delivery can be like, which impacts access?
So I won't say necessarily just change your perception.
Okay.
Um, I would speak to it in terms of impact,
Ah.
right? So prior to this time, the health facilities we've worked with in our pilot for delivering blood, for example, um, cannot readily get blood. So if they have an emergency case, a woman who is in labor gets into hemorrhage, for example, maybe it's midnight, you can't get blood at that time if you are in a rural area. But today they can reach out to us. We partner with MBSA and Armed Forces Blood Center at Military Hospital in Port Harcourt, and we get allocation of blood units from there. We're also looking to start to work with them to go for blood drives because in Nigeria as a whole, we have a baseline demand of 1.5 million units of blood per day in Nigeria. And we get blood through the right channel that is WHO standard, less than 200,000 units a day in Nigeria. So there's a whole gap around that. There are a lot of health facilities who claim to transfuse blood, but do not process according to WHO standards. So we're able to bridge that gap. We want to expand that gap and increase access so people are not getting transfused. And after they give you collect something else, they go. That's the sort of thing that we're doing in that space.
Having been with Zipline for a bit now, I'm sure you've seen several cases. Can you describe, if possible, and you don't have to get too specific for obvious reasons, at least one case that was quite impactful that resonates for you personally?
Mm, it's a lot. So yeah, it's a lot. Is it February 11th? I know we delivered anti-snake venom sometime around 9 p.m. Can't remember the name of the health facility now in Bielsa. The blood deliveries we've done, touching, very touching. About 2 months ago, I think there was a patient in a health facility somewhere whose BP reading was through the charts. We're able to get those supplies in sometime around 10 p.m. Right, and not to sound like what's it called, but I think that's probably been being able to work with a team that does that has probably been the most satisfying thing over the last couple of months that I've worked with Zipline. Yeah, the impact is key. Being able to work with a team that we've worked. I've seen there's something called MNCH Week, Maternal and Neonatal Child Health Week, where we're able to send in vitamin A, deworming commodities into communities that otherwise these children, the exposure to malnutrition could be extreme. And you work with your team, people work heavy hours in the course of the week to push those multi nutrients into those communities. Quite, I mean, you're like, I'm contributing towards building a better Nigeria. That's the kind of feeling you get when you have those sort of heavy weeks. We also support. We get ARVs for people living with HIVs in rural communities. So even when there's high tide, they can't come to town, or there's flooding, and they're not able to get out to somewhere to a proper health facility to get their meds. They enlist through our implementing partners to get access to their drugs at home in their communities. That's the sort of impact that it makes you humble, and it makes you feel like you're adding the next brick to building a better society. Even getting into meetings where you speak to policy because you have data to speak to it helps. Yeah, it's
I can imagine. It is Canvas in Niger-Delta round to be brought to you by Regulations. Ziplining what minutes matter is what we're discussing. My guest is Chinedu Ama. We'll go for a break. We'll return shortly. Please stay with us.
In the heart of our journey, where the sun touches the earth and the wind whispers through the trees, a new chapter unfolds. A chapter where energy illuminates more than just bulbs. It lights up minds. A chapter of unity, a coming together with a common goal to energize futures and illuminating lives. In classrooms, young dreams evolve, inspired by the promise of a brighter tomorrow fueled by available energy. Small businesses flourish, becoming seeds of prosperity. Energy that empowers and is catalyst for growth and change. The future is energy. So, let's light up the path to a sustainable future together. Energy for you, me, and the world at large. Energy for people and planet. We are Renaissance.
Welcome back to Canvas, the Niger-Delta Roundtable, brought to you by Renaissance. I'm Dial. Ziplining when minutes matter. So, discussing my guest is Chinedu Ama, Regional Director, Zipline Nigeria. Chinedu, you're welcome again.
Thank you.
So, did you ever see Big Bang Theory? Or,
Yeah,
or
bits and
just Big
pieces.
Bang,
Bits and pieces. Not.
Sheldon and Co. And it's pretty old.
Yeah.
There is sometimes I like to just when I turn on Netflix and there's nothing
You
fascinating
just.
there, I just go there and watch reruns. Oh, not reruns per se, but
Mm,
it's there. So you can always see it again. And there was this episode which is pretty old. Basically, I'm trying to talk about drones. So
mm-hmm.
there was an episode there that featured drones. So drones have been with us for quite a while.
Yeah.
And there was a time that there was a fad of sorts, Uh, s- Almost every young kid, especially those who have a certain economic status, needed to own one.
A toy version.
Exactly, toy
Yeah.
version. Wanted to own one.
Yeah.
I think that fad has since passed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They're onto other things now, PS5s and co.
Mm-hmm.
I think even the fad for PS5 is passed as well.
Mm-hmm.
What is the fad these days?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, all right.
You're asking the wrong person.
Okay, so when people sing drones,
Yeah.
when we think about certain levels of technology and fast, as I say, people just simply focus on the drones. I know, yeah, I have this gizmo that can
Mm-hmm.
go up there and this looks snazzy. I look cool, and then I can take pictures or shoot
Make
videos,
videos.
make videos, from long distances and post them online, and
Mm-hmm.
once again look very
Mm-hmm.
cool. But beyond that, what is the larger system behind what Zipline does beyond the cool drones?
I think one, the people, right? Because we do everything from production of our drones in-house. Yes, it's built start to finish in-house. So we have a whole engineering team of marvelous people who build and design these things. Then outside of core engineering, we have a lot of internal software development, right? Where we continue to refresh systems that enable us deliver to our customers efficiently. And then I think relationships, right? Where I think about 2 or 3 months ago, I had to join a meeting of um what's it called now? Like aircraft operators in Niger Delta.
Mm,
And it wasn't drone operators. I was entering meeting with people from your crew, from your office who operate your choppers, for example.
mm.
Some of the private airlines here, and I was like, okay. And when someone isn't sure how to address you and he goes captain, and I'm like, no, I'm like, no, 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 that's not me. I'm not. So people just assume, right? So that's some of the interesting things about working in that space beyond drones. You get to see a whole lot, but I think the people make make up most of it because without them, those things wouldn't exist.
When I asked you at the start of this recording, or about the start, what if anyone had never heard about Zipline before, what is Zipline? You said you deliver AI, something like that.
We're the biggest deployment of AI in the world.
Precisely that.
Yeah.
And then you also referenced how important data
Yes.
is to what you're doing. So I'm
Yes.
asking you to elaborate on that. How important is data in making a system like that which Zipline utilizes work?
Data, end to end, all we do is data. From our planning to our design to our fulfillment is data. If you want to send a carton of paracetamol to a health facility today, I'd ask you a few questions. How is it packed? What's the weight per unit for? That's the pack, not the entire carton. How many units are in the carton? What's the weight per unit? What are the doses in the unit? So we start to piece it down immediately. And it took a while for me to also learn that system. So anybody who I'm talking to today, I'm piecing that data, I'm breaking it down into tiny bits because I have to feed that information to my team. That is how my team is able to plan. So if you're giving me a carton today, the next thing I want to ask you is how often, how frequent does this need to go? Who are the recipients? Because beyond the health facility, I want to know what impact I'm driving within the community. So we break down across board because even when we speak to partners, right? By partners, it could be government officials, it could be Renaissance who wants to talk to us about something. We're able to say that, okay, we supported XY community. We were able to deliver X cartons of this particular commodity to this facility in this community over this period. And with that, if it's depending on how the interface for that program is, if it's okay, if you say you want to support 1,000 persons with malaria within the community, then I want to be able to speak to the officer in charge of the health facility to know, okay, what's your frequency of malaria outbreak? How many people get malaria in a month? So it's end to end from supply point to fulfillment to consumption. We speak to data across board as a plan.
In an era, or in an age now where it appears arguably one of the most expensive commodities or important commodities, as a matter of fact, is data.
Yeah.
And there are concerns as regards access to data, data management, and all of that, and the proliferation, it seems, of data, and infringement even on people's rights as regards to their data. Should there be concerns as to Zipline's management?
No, because
how would you respond to those who might have concerns as to how
no, because I
Zipline
don't
manages the
handle
data?
patient data. I can discuss consumption data, but I don't handle patient data. I don't know if it was Chinedu or Dio who walked into the health facility. I don't know if Chinedu has herpes or malaria. It's not. But a trend could be seeing a certain trend of demand could help me speak to an official to say, hey, there's a potential outbreak. So that's the kind of data I can see. I could tell you that, oh, I think there's an outbreak here because there's an increased demand for ORS, for example. So there could be concerns that there could be an outbreak here. So even if the health facility has not flagged the board, because we engage at that level, I'm able to speak to the healthcare board to say, oh, look, I'm seeing an increase in demand of XYZ. There may be an outbreak, so you want to look at it. So we don't look at personal data, we look at consumption data.
And if I can just add to that, one facility requiring 2 or 3 more doses of a particular commodity may not be a red flag, but 5 facilities in the same vicinity requiring 3 more would be a red flag. But the 5 of them may not know that
they may not know that this is going on.
Yeah.
So you're then able to say, Chief, is there something going on here? So they can then the official could ask you, why do you say this? And then you pull up the data to say there's been a marked increase in requests for this in XYZ number of facilities. If it's an LGA, you're able to say, okay, this LGA, there's an increased request for this sort of commodity. So maybe you want to look into it. So that's the sort of relationship and engagements that we build and trust we build in the system.
Can the expression autonomous delivery be used in describing what Zipline does?
Yes.
Are there misconceptions about that? Because once again, we are more familiar with traditional means of delivery. That
Yes.
there's an individual who walks up to you and hands you something. However, now you see some gizmo dropping
You need
something
to
off.
come. You need to come to our distribution center, right? So there's an entire process in onboarding a health facility. In our case, where we engage with you, explain to you, show you a model of what our drone is. If it's possible, we invite you to the health facility so that you see how it works, and then you are the contact person who orders for, excuse me, for the commodity. There's also interaction where at the point your order is heading out to you, there's notifications that come to you that tells you, oh, okay, your ETA is X number of minutes. Um, Halfway through, you're notified, please go to your drop site because our drones do not land at your facility.
Ah.
Our drones take off, pitch, slow down, pitch. High speed is about 120 kilometers per hour. So they slow down, pitch. Um, Maximum height is about 500 meters. So they pitch down to about 100. Um, Once they pitch down, they are slow. It drops, a parachute deploys, it lets it land, and then you pick up your commodity and it goes. So that's what we call P1, platform one. Platform two, which is what has been launched in the US, is the one that actually hovers over the place. A droid comes down, gets to the ground, drops your commodity. It works like your Uber and Bolt. Those ones come to your house. The P1, what we have in Africa, well, P2 is in Rwanda right now because we're servicing the capital city. The P1 is um, targeted at facilities and farms, of course. We've just started exploring animal health in Nigeria. Not launched yet.
Oh, animals require health.
Yes, animals require health services. 2 weeks ago, I was in Delta State
I mean, it's not like a ridiculous question, but humor me.
okay, yeah. So 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I was in Delta State for the economic summit, and we met. There's this farm in Warri, Amity Farms. They have about 200,000 birds, chicken. And the guy was speaking to us about vaccines he ordered for his birds. Within arrival for 3+ days, he lost an ostrich.
Oh.
Right? And we also supply, we're working on animal health right now. It's a new platform for us. In 2023, 24, our operations, we also support artificial insemination. Because of our cold storage, we're able to hold um, animal semen. In Rwanda, what we do is bovine and what's it called? Swine semen. So we store the seminal fluid in our facility. The farmers, when the farmers have a female that is on heat, they request and we package it, which also requires to maintain cold chain. We package it and deliver it to the farm. The technician now takes it and conducts artificial insemination. In 2024, Rwanda did over 30 million US dollars in pork production from artificial insemination, and it was entirely backed by Zipline's operations.
How, well, I'm happy for all of those pigs, but
There you have a problem, I swear. You get serious problem.
and those who had the bacon. How?
Are you happy for people who made the money too?
Oh, I mean,
Because
good.
that's the part I'm like, okay, that's a lot of economic value.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, and lots of like nice breakfast as well.
I swear.
So, how to what effect
Yeah.
or to what rate are health outcomes affected or influenced by faster deliveries?
Okay, so faster deliveries are most impactful for emergencies. The efficiency we bring to the value chain is we're building the next layer of infrastructure. You don't have road access in an area, we're able to get those things to you. maintaining whatever quality standards it has to maintain. Our work in Bielsa, for example, reduced the incidence of zero dose by over 42%. That's children who have not had their Penta-1. Penta-1 is one of the vaccine antigens, right? Imagine those children being exposed to those ailments because they did not get those vaccines. But because we're able to not just get the vaccines to the health facilities, but also get the vaccines into the communities, improved vaccine access in those communities. That's the sort of impact we bring.
So the thing about tech is this. So whoever conceives an idea, I suppose, may have one thing in mind, but deployment can be for varying reasons. I mean, you can ask the guys who are in the business of war. They'll tell us all about that.
Yeah.
A lot of the innovations used in war these days were for something else completely. But someone found a way to ensure that we can
Yeah.
keep a lot of people with it. So are there lessons, or are there other applications that you think that, just as an aside, other industries can pick up from the technology that Zipline is employing?
I think for us here, there's two main areas.
Especially in the Niger-Delta and by extension Nigeria, that could influence and improve other industries and other areas of our living.
Animal health. Animal health is strategic.
You seem to be focusing too much on the pigs right now. Okay?
No, not the pigs, right?
Okay. All right.
So a few years ago when I first spoke on TED, I think one of the points I raised is the fact that back then, I think maybe it was like 5 years ago, Donald is not here, Lagos was consuming 10,000 cows a day. I saw the commissioner for health on TV some days ago, and they asked him about animal health. The health commissioner was being asked about animal health and disease outbreaks, where you have zoonotic jumping into humans. And he said Lagos was now consuming 17,000 cows a day over the past 5-year period. Look at the level of growth. Now, what we miss in our markets, for example, is that we do not produce enough. And I find that today it's largely because inputs are few and far between. So there's probably, I may be wrong, maybe in the last couple of months, maybe we don't have hatcheries in the south for birds, for example. So most of the day-old chicks you have in this region come from Ibadan. That's where you have them. Now, are we able to look towards artificial insemination in the region? Yes, we can. Are we able to look towards scaling animal health? Because it's not just about being able to get them to a place, you gather them, right? And say, okay, this is where you process them and this is where you move them. Who is checking the health status of what they're feeding you and I, right, in the place? Some people say, yeah, we don't want to, not give them injection. But do you know if, I don't want to speculate or speak to anything, right? But can we improve the outcomes? Yes, we can. Secondly, up until a couple of years ago, what's their name? Goton Tannery in Kano was one of the biggest suppliers of goat skin to Gucci. We didn't know. Did you know?
I had no idea.
Okay.
But plus, I don't use Gucci, so
you don't need to. But a tannery in Kano was supplying leather to Gucci. And it was being sold as premium product until I think the founder's son or grandson, he schooled out west, came back and said, I not sell again. They're called Winston Leather today. So today they are selling premium. So these are, I met someone a few weeks ago that said they produce cheese, cottage cheese in their farm out west. Now, these are conversations we don't even have here, right? The economic value of our produce. If you check today now, if you don't chop like 1 million naira worth of handbag, shoe.
I mean, I can't afford Gucci, so yeah. I mean,
So you just chop the pomo.
exactly. I can afford pomo.
So just chop the pomo. But if you chop the pomo, still produce Gucci quality leather.
I guess, yeah.
Right. But the thing for me is what are the economic benefits of animal production, right? That we could explore in the region. Um, can we have technology support that process? Um, the answer to the second question is yes. Are we able to redefine how we think and see those things? Yes, we can.
Pardon me. Interjection.
Yes,
I'm sure it's good that we're able to inseminate some animals in heat and ensure that we can get more hides and
yes,
leather and skin and more bacon and breakfast. That's a
yes,
good thing.
yes,
And of course, employ people and all that. But
yes.
earlier on, you described how that this what Zipline does,
Mm.
the entire process and all that, is more. It's the impact is pretty much felt most in emergency cases. Now, helping an animal in heat doesn't seem like an emergency to me. I could be wrong.
God have mercy on you.
Or ensuring that we have more pigs out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like an emergency. Those seem like things we need to plan for. Long term. I think.
Mm.
I think, and I could be wrong, of course. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
However, more emergency like cases.
Yes.
What are some of the other areas or industries where this would serve us immediately?
Okay, so I will correct you because you were wrong. Human health is a vertical that is proven. Animal health is a vertical that is proven. So animal health, it's not just about the animal being in heat. It is two things. One, food security. Two, it is economic value. When I told you that Lagos State consumes up to 17,000 cows in a day, one day, do you know what it takes to produce 17,000 cows?
I have no idea.
So imagine you had a factory that processes the cows, for example. When I did that analysis years ago, when they were between 8 to 10,000 consumption for cows in a day in Lagos, the study I did, one of the materials I read, put the factory workers in excess of 2,500 consistently. If you had to put them in a proper factory to process, not the traditional one we have. I'm not d- discrediting that, even though, yes, I am. But the point is, if you had to establish factory to process, to give you meat that is quality and clean, you would directly and indirectly employ up to 2,500 persons. That is the sort of value that you bring. Now, remember when we had the lockdowns during COVID? Remember how getting access to food was tough in this region
Mm-hmm.
because we're not producing. Now, remember the era of what we call them headsmen, insecurity, the day inside bush. All of those things continue to happen, whether they were speculative or factual. Because again, back to our first conversation, we did not evolve production. The average cow out west produces over 20 liters of milk a day. Our cows produce less than 5 because they've trekked from Sokoto to Ahoda. You don't suffer. So you consistently,
it's a hard knock life.
you consistently continue to import milk.
Mm.
We've had local production of milk to a certain level, less than a decade. Friesland and what's the other one? In Ekiti and the other states, where they had to import 10,000 cows to produce milk so that they can have local base. It still doesn't even feed up to 50% of the inputs they require to produce enough milk for us in Nigeria. Road for our bros.
What is Zipline story as far as operations in Africa and even more so Nigeria? What does that say about Africa and Nigeria and even the Niger-Delta's capacity for innovation?
When you say what does it say about us? How do you mean?
What do our potentials look like?
Ah,
Are we ready? Because people say, we're always playing catch up with the West when it comes to advancements, technology.
mm,
Are we ready for this? Especially, Zipline is doing a great job with healthcare already,
yeah,
but there's still a lot more that can be done,
yeah,
especially covering areas.
yeah.
and services and increasing the capacity and all of that, but even applications to other fields as well. Are we there yet? Are we
Yes,
ready?
yes, we're ready.
Just like the example you give about the EVs earlier on. The question was, yeah, we like people like the concept, the theory of EVs, but how will they charge them? I hope my pigeon sounded good. So, are we ready?
Yes, we're ready. Today in Nigeria, we're averaging over 300 deliveries a day. These are actual orders from health facilities. Kaduna, Cross River, Bayelsa.
If I were to ask you the numbers elsewhere, and you don't have to give an answer, I'm sure they would dwarf our
We
300 a day.
no, but it's second largest delivery in Africa today.
Africa. Okay, go on.
Africa delivers more than US for Zipline. Yes.
Africa is a continent.
No, when I say Africa, we are Nigeria, Rwanda, Kenya, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire.
That's several countries.
That's 5 countries.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we also want, over the next 2 years, we want to build. Today, we support somewhere close to 2,000 health facilities across 3 states. Over the next 2 years, we want to build 12 new facilities. We want to expand that capacity up to 8,400 facilities across Nigeria, which should be able to support up to, I think, 80 to 90 million persons. So that's the sort of capacity we want to build, right? And yes, we're ready. Consistency of demand tells us we're ready. One of the mantras we stand by is customer obsession. So every day if I have a marginal drop in my average daily deliveries at my facility, I get to answer to my lead because it shows there's a gap somewhere. Why are they not ordering from you? Did you delay delivery? So you must consistently maintain that level of performance. And today in Nigeria, we have 100% Nigerians working in Zipline Nigeria, from all of the operational side to the administrative side. So yes, we're ready.
The logistics, and if you're listening to this over the radio, I'm sure you didn't see the air quotes I just did now.
Yes.
Industry has evolved
Yes, it has.
in Nigeria, and more so in the Niger-Delta and River State over the past 2-3 years, in more recent times.
Yes.
It's not unusual to find uh, motorcycles with these huge boxes behind them, traversing streets, almost crashing into your vehicle if you're not careful.
Yes.
And just some years ago, there weren't that many, but now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
How do you see the logistics industry evolving over the next decade?
In fact, joining Zipline made me understand that even you and I are part of logistics. Getting to the studio to record this, so there's a consistent evolution. How do you move goods? How do you move persons? How do you move animals from place to place? It continues to evolve. People like Elon will tell you that he thinks that in 5 years' time, people don't need to buy cars. Part of why logistics is bold. Logistics is Uber. When you were in secondary school, in fact, getting out of the club today, somebody was describing how his friend would say, I want to chop my transport, you will lap me. What? You didn't do that. They don't lap you when you small for taxi or for bus.
Oh, of course, I was like,
Exactly.
no, why are you asking me that?
So that's logistics. So that's logistics. And it's evolved from then. How do you get people to move? Which is why I talked about public transportation. Logistics is a consistently evolving market. It's not just about I want to go to this place to send waybill from here to here. You are also waybill. When you book a boat, you book your Uber. You say if you're waybill, you're waybilling yourself somewhere. It consistently moves. At Zipline, we've gone from platform 1 to platform 2. Platform 1, which serves health facilities directly. Platform 2, which gets it to your house directly. We also know there's competition in the world. There's companies from China who are building to deliver at the same scale. There's companies from Europe who are building to deliver at the same scale. Similar technology using drones, right? We have companies across the Niger Delta deploying the same technology to move surveillance for pipelines as well. Indigenous companies. I know 1 or 2 of them that are based in Bayelsa. These guys even build their own drones themselves here in Nigeria. So it's a constantly evolving industry. and I think it will continue to advance.
Finally, I think your time is. Sarge, do we still have more time? Okay, I heard no. So we have to wrap it up.
Yeah,
Interesting. Always a pleasure, really, discussing with you, Chinedu.
same here.
For this episode, we discussed ziplining when minutes matter, and sometimes the difference between even life and death, or having bacon on your breakfast or not.
Oh God.
Not that they're the same thing. No pun intended. Is it's just a matter of minutes, and Zipline is helping to bridge the gap.
Mm,
And great pleasure having Chinedu Ama, director, regional director, Zipline Nigeria, discuss this, and not just what Zipline is doing, but even the broader and larger implications and impact it could have even on other industries as well. Chinedu,
thank you.
good having you here.
Thank you. It's too much.
Thank you very much once again. Catch this on our social media pages, on our YouTube page as well, and radio station, partner radio stations also. Remember, Canvas is brought to you by Radio Nations. Thanks for watching. I'm Dial Shakin. Bye for now.